All right. Peace, and blessings. Haki Shakur Ami here, Dr. Haki Shakur Ami here, the Honorable One, the Sappho, broadcasting live out of Baltimore, Tubman City, Maryland. So, man, I missed this. So, apparently, Dr. Umar Johnson is starting some kind of movement. Let me create a banner here. Sorry, I'm like not. Sometimes y'all, I don't be doing all this other extra stuff that some of you do. Whistles and berries. But I wanted to really just engage and share my thoughts. Of course, many people have heard of FBA and ADOS, and so Dr. Umar Johnson has said something to the effect about DAFA, Descendants of African Freedmen in America. So let me just, give some analysis. Oh man, I should have started this earlier, but so 10 o'clock, 9:50. It's possible that I could finish by 11, but this is a deep conversation because let me just first by opening and saying that both are, online and rather delusional, in terms of the level of focus and which direction, for instance, they are taking the masses of people, right? Where they are taking I ain't going to say the masses. I'll say a segment of the, I'd say, awakened people that that have a level of interest in understanding the struggles of black people here in America, right? So let me just share, first, let me just say that the whole Hidden Colors series, it certainly has awakened like a few black people here, as well as in many places in the diaspora. So, for those who have been around before, like myself, and a reader and organizer and thinker, and somebody who have worked with many of the people who are in the documentaries. I've worked with many of them in different spaces, as well as when I sponsored the Power Talk in DC, I had the opportunity to really truly engage with many of them. See, most of these scholars have come through, if they haven't come through Baltimore, they certainly have come through the DC area that have been in the Hidden Colors and film. And I actually, Dr. George Frazier is in Hidden Colors 4, and we actually did a book together. And I actually went to the Power Networking Conference a few times, more than a few times, and so you sort of get the gist. And my thing is, I'm saying that both of them, have their limits in terms of, connecting to black people and making things plain, right? And so when you have people that influence a large percentage of the population or a segment of people more than average, they can either enhance the movement, or they can destroy the movement with the contradictions. And I say that both are just online and sort of like delusional and contradictory. And let me just give some contradictions that are pretty significant, that I believe that we need to look at. Certainly, I'll start with Tariq Nasheed. Now, And this is from some of, and this is from some of, and I met Tariq in Cleveland, Ohio. He was there for, I mean, I never like went to see when they brought the film to Baltimore. Matter of fact, I did go to one of the screenings in Baltimore. Actually, I went to two, but I realized that those people that go there, they not gonna do nothing after watching the film. Like they just kind of like probably. I'm not gonna say that they ex-offenders or people, but they are for the most part the people that didn't read a whole lot, like the ones that's in their 40s and things like that. I mean, you have they aren't like scholarly readers or conscious brothers that went to lectures and actually read the books and so they just watch a video. For instance, they'll watch 1 through 5 and they just, they might get sparked, right? But then it's like, well, what else is there for them to do, right? What else for them to do besides? I mean, from Tariq's perspective, like don't vote, sit on a couch, like. And I'm not someone that's coming like right now in this context saying that's what the movement is about, right? Because here's the thing: eventually you got to move the people to another level, right? And my thing is, I've heard Tariq say some things, like for instance, and we have to look at some of the best teachers and. Even if we don't practice, like, shall say, the best things that we should do, both of them. I'll just say this about Umar, too. In terms of how you build community and you build movements. Granted, everybody is in different locations, so we're not like, people don't live in a particular communities, a particular area where you can like have some cohesion, and so it has turned into basically a online forum, online talks, and I haven't seen them like move towards something practical, because it's like, okay, either you're gonna have to find ways to partner with different institutions that are already operating in our community, right? So what do you have? You have, for instance, you have the unions, right, that have had like certain types of power and influence, and then you have the black churches, right? And I'll also add, for instance, the Nation of Islam as a cultural force, and then you have, for instance, the Black Panthers, right, as a cultural revolutionary force. So the question becomes, where do these kind of align in these formations? And one thing I've looked at, there's never been any, for instance, conversations, even from Tariq Nasheed with all of the followers. I haven't heard him like be inspired or say anything about getting land, or build on like nutrition, like in physical exercise types of things. Like these are, some of the basic things, even for instance, that the Nation of Islam taught, I mean, it's like, and I studied that, and that's one of the things. And recently there was a major, online, thing honoring Elijah Muhammad. So people kind of gave like a historical analysis of many of the different people who have been taught by Elijah Muhammad, right? From Silas to Khalid to, people talk about Malcolm, Wallace, and the other, it's a few different offshoots, right? And one of the things that, even from my studies of Dr. Amos Wilson and his blueprint, I don't know if it's in the blueprint, but yeah, it is. It actually is. And I read that, read 3 times, Blueprint to Black Power. I read that like 3 times, so I kind of am more advanced as a student, scholar, worker, thinker than many others. Because once you read and then you're able to get out here and apply certain things, you see things that, many of the so-called FBA and Pan-Africanists or descendants of, this is what DAFA is, descendants of freedmen in America, right? That's what, Umar created. So, with that being said, understanding, business in a contemporary way and understanding that most people are doing things online, we have to ask ourselves, like, where is the tangible results, right? And then I've never seen any of them have their people, for instance, do any, like, lobbying. If you're talking about reparations, for instance, in Maryland, they just overridden the governor's veto. And I'm just like, so none of these groups, have any forces on the ground, like, for real. So, so now let's get into, the contradictions, of course. For instance, Tariq. Now, and, this is not to plug Umar and, because I got a lot more kind of, I ain't gonna say grievances, with Umar, but he's done some things that make me think that he's out of his damn mind. And no real man with any sense, with any integrity, with any wisdom, with any self-confidence, with any success will definitely not, just bow down to a Umar like that. And I'm going to get into that as well. But, so Tariq, for instance, now this is, by Umar, one of the things that he does allegedly, and, I don't have any reason to say it's not true, but he allegedly has, Europeans doing the documentaries for him. And this is alleged by Dr. Umar. He said that some years ago. And I'm just like, well, and some people would say, what's wrong with that? If they making all the money from it, it's like, where is the economy? And there have been some people who have broke some of that stuff down, how, many of these broke black people out here, and people that may not be broke, because people that got a little bit of money, they get caught up in these, because they don't know we don't know what to do with our money. We are like trapped here. And, and I'm not suggesting that everybody should invest in the stock market, for instance, but we need a way that we can, collectively invest in various black businesses, right? And I put this thing together. Even looking at when Black Enterprise used to have the BE 100, there should have been, and this is some Amos Wilson type stuff. If anything, and this is something that both of y'all could spend your energies on, you should look at the blueprint, and you should look up these businesses and come together and say, how do we build a major investment to ensure that these businesses are, taking off, right? So that's one thing, that, I believe, outside of, people trying to build some big old school and somebody building like some kind of museum that's really just a couple pictures, a club with a couple pictures on the wall. But speaking about, Tariq, and as I mentioned about, the Europeans that actually finance, or created the videos. I don't know if they financed most of it or whatever, but I think that that's a challenge. That's certainly something that I and many of us certainly should have a problem with, that you couldn't find not a single video editor or by now. And I'm hoping that the black conscious people that I know that are in this Hidden Color 6, I hope that they weren't sitting in front of a some Europeans and talking black like that. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that they doing that in 2026. But for this Hidden Color 6. So with that being said, one thing that people tend to like undervalue or ignore, once upon a time, I mean, and I don't know if he still promotes this, but Tariq Nasheed says something to the effect that he don't mind having relations with European women. He said it a little different. He will knock something. He pro-black or something, but he will knock the whatever out of the woman in the bedroom. Something that was really immature, and it's just like you are you are a bunny hopper, like really truly. I mean, if I may say so, it's like, and I mean, obviously, he married and has children by someone of mixed heritage, and so I mean, I just believe, if Umar was honest, he certainly could make some case that affects your psychology, that affects your levels of loyalty, as well as your perceptions on black legacy, wealth, and family. Because many people don't deal with that when they talking about black wealth and legacy, just like some FBA, I'm sorry, some black Pan-Africanists, for instance, that want to marry Africans in Africa, for instance, and I know some folks that have done that. I mean, and not that, I mean, it's a complex situation depending upon your circumstance, but, and I am able to recognize that, cost of living. So sometimes people, I've been to, Kenya and Tanzania, Ethiopia and South Africa. So I was, I've been able to see things on the ground, as well as, been responsible for taking groups, as well as being present or encouraging groups to go to other places in Zimbabwe on my behalf, and as well as some of my affiliates that, partners that I was working with at a particular time. So I've been able to experience and see. I know why some people, have not just take trips, but they find, wives and things like that. So that's another part that need to be discussed. So yeah, so those are two of the things that I particularly have with Tariq, of course, and I think I mean, something. Now, there's some people who have digged more into how much people donate and how they've donated money to the film, and then they donated to come see the film, and then they even buy a documentary, a physical DVD. I mean, and I'm just like, are they still doing DVDs like right now in 2026? I don't know. But that would be interesting too, because, like I said, some people donated money from the front, and some people go to see the film, and then they buy a DVD online. Like, so they paying $25 to see the film, and they buying the DVD. So I'm just like, man, like, and nobody like thinks, so FBA on some level is a cult, and Pan African is on some level is a cult. Like, so I'm a just add on how that, but Umar, he's not like qualified, like for real, to be, I don't know, he just did so much drama. We can go back to the SETI thing. Like that certainly should have should have made people think like this. He got a PhD, and he's acting like a street thug, wearing the Philadelphia hoodie and popping off, and the fake phone call thugs that's calling. Yeah, the fake thugs calling on the phone like you a real G. Like, come on, man. You can't be online. See, and let me just share the difference for those, for instance, even in Baltimore, man. I'm not going to jail over like how, over those agent provocateurs, like people making threats or, some uncivilized people. You got to grow into more mature adult way of handling things, right? You cannot be out here thugging, threatening to thug, and beefing. Now, you may have some disagreements, but sometimes you got to come to your senses of what is, what do you have to lose by engaging in some very uncivilized behavior. So I'm just saying that for Umar, who has, got into like more than one kind of threat type of thing where he was calling up people, talking about pull up on people. Like, why would any conscious adult that has a high school education send their child to a man? I can lay it out. Well, first and foremost, if any of y'all saw the drama with his daughter, and you see that little wild little girl, go get your damn daughter, Umar. Like, stop all this flying to Africa, getting what is it, citizenship. His daughter is like wild, like totally wild. I'm like, man, if y'all saw some of the things this little, oh my gosh, you talk about disowning. You talk about disowning your child. Like, I don't know, but here's the thing. All of his talking for the last, now let me just clarify. I probably was one of the first ones to bring Umar to Baltimore for Kwanzaa. And the video's still up. Maybe like close to 2001. Maybe, oh sure. Maybe like 2001. We had a Kwanzaa, Sister Mia Miata. Shout out to Mia Miata. And she another one that Umar did wrong, But he knew, like, how could you, listen, when I speak about something and, and something not right in my life, and I'm out there publicly talking, I'm going to be reminded of something that I need to do. So he was calling his child's mother Mama Smurf, Baby Smurf, calling his daughter Baby Smurf. Like, I don't, because how her hair look, I assume he was like joking her. He like a 50 Cent. trolling his own daughter that's out here. That's a, what is it? She go both ways or whatever. I'm like, just man. And people want to talk, stuff. Some of these Baltimore so-called Pan-Africanists thinking they accomplishing something by getting in little dead relationships with these underdeveloped women. And Umar done had a baby by whoever, didn't marry none of them, but you want to raise the children. And that's twofold, because for one, and then he not just had one child out of wedlock and didn't marry the mother, but then a second one. I mean, and I don't know if there's like other ones, or I ain't gonna speculate on that. That's not for me to, but if it's true that a man that's not acknowledging their child, like if you got another child out there, that's the worst. That's the absolute worst. That's the worst, type of brother out here. So I don't deal with black men. And, I mean, let me just say, I ain't gonna say I don't deal with black men. I don't deal with black men that I have to interact like that, where I know that you are irresponsible towards your children. That's not, a pleasant conversation to have. And I know I've seen it. I mean, most brothers, they deal with their drama by themselves, and, and maybe I should be a listening ear to many, but, I know that it's difficult to look perhaps up or to a brother, or be able to talk to a brother, about these issues. And I don't really deal with that a whole lot. But what I do know is some of these little black men groups, for instance, in Baltimore, many of these brothers are simpish, right? So I don't respect you staying in a relationship, for however long. I think that, some of you are lazy intellectually, for instance, and some are simps. Some brothers are simpish. So, that's neither here nor there about Umar. So, one of the things that really I said, man, and I did a video with a sister back a couple months ago. What happened when Umar did this thing with this daughter? Now, he also did a documentary with this other sister that's been going on with him, some kind of film where he wanted to have a scene where he was fake sleeping with a white woman, and he got out of bed and told the white woman, I can't sleep with you. I'm going back to the black woman, or something like that. He wanted it to be in a movie or something with do something like that. That sounds wild. But anyway, so I wanted to speak. So when I kind of was oh no, I'm absolutely through with Umar. And it's a lot of other stuff, of course, because one time some of these, these Baltimore, not just Baltimore, but some of the DC Bamas, black men, they conspired. There was a conspiracy. There was this sister, and once upon a time I was on a real holistic type of thing where in terms of alcohol and things. I mean, I sort of I don't it depends on how people drink, right? But because I feel that, if you conscious, like some things you're gonna evolve from. Like you're not like partying, you're not just hanging with all kind of wild Negroes and clubs and smoking cigars. You're not like rolling like that. So Umar, he was like sort of dating his sister. What is her name? Fajima, something like that. She was from Columbus, Ohio. Right, Farima. I can't remember her name, but we was like talking on the phone a couple of times, and I guess she got upset because and I don't think I was like real nasty towards her, but Fasami, that was her name. So, but she told me that she would drink beer or something, and her and Umar, he would come in town. He probably was, doing something with her cookies or something like that, like how he does it, her vanilla or mocha caramel, whatever. So she like sort of got like upset and was talking stuff, online, and people like Kush the Black Unifier and Irritated Genie, they like sort of, well, Kush was kind of neutral, but Irritated Genie, like a little later, he kind of tried to flex on me, like, because I said something, because people were like defending this crap from this dysfunctional sister. But Umar, I don't know if he called me. No, he texted me. And I was like somebody that supported Umar, like for real. And he said, "The conscious community upset with you, brother." I'm like, what? I said, I am the conscious community. I told Umar that like years ago. Like really, truly. I mean, and that's why I was just like, and he ain't say nothing, and he didn't even defend me. So I'm just like, so Umar, you can't pretend somehow that you, and I never even talked about this, you can't pretend like you want people to like stand up for you when you don't always stand up for brothers in the right way over a right reason, right? And so, but what I learned from that, see, is some of these older black men, see, sex is a powerful motivator. Sex, many black men, older black men, and there was another one. There was another, like, police officer that was involved. He was an older one, but he was just an old, jealous man anyway. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get into nothing, but he was a police officer and he was a hater anyway, but he's in Baltimore. But I think he probably wanted to sleep with that Fasami sister as well, or my ex, like at that time, another sister from Prince George's County. So she was just, I've had some goofy sisters that I dealt with, and so that really I allowed. I'm not gonna say I was a simp, but I was very. I didn't posture. I didn't stand up and articulate my position in some of these interactions, and so now I learned a lot from that. So yeah, so Umar, that's part of the history with he and I. But I'll just recall once the reason that I really like sort of like really just was like, damn, yo, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I just was like, yo, I'm not rocking with him. He said something, he was on a video, and I always tell this story. He had on an orange shirt, and he said, "You gonna give me some more money and some more money?" No, wait a minute. Before that, he said, "Why the school not open?" He said, "Trifling as black people. And then he said, you think you done when you give me $50 or you give me such and such? You better give me some more money and some more money. He likes some of these preachers out here, man. You know, he likes some of these preachers that control the ignorant minds and of the weak. The weak. See, there's a lot of weak and dysfunctional black people. Not well-rounded, not confident, unaccomplished, not successful. So they have like these esteem issues. So they listen to a Umar and they think, since they don't know anybody else, they never read any books, they don't go anywhere, and you know, I mean, and you think somehow he represents revolution and liberation, and that's all you know, because you don't read books. All you can do, and you're working a job, most of these black men, you're in a weak relationship with unconscious sisters, and that's your extent of your knowledge. And see, somebody like me who've been around the greatest scholars and authors and builders, I don't have no, you know, I'm not impressed by you, right? Because you like a dime a dozen. You just online and you talking to the masses of ignorant. But see, what's happening now, and what people are evaluating this legitimacy. And am I spending more time with Umar than Tariq? Well, they kind of go back and forth. They kind of go hand in hand with the delusion. Let me get back to my premise that they're online and they're delusional. I never ever seen, for instance, none of them come to, you know, one of the only key places for black people in America to truly organize, right? The CBC weekend. Now, I know, for instance, that many believe that those unconscious Negroes, you know, or they the bourgeoisie or they the boule. I'm not coming. I don't go there for none of that. I come, you know, to you know, network, listen, meet people, but also, you know, it's like a place to make power moves and to influence. And I'll give you this example. I mean, when you're in D.C., it's just, you know, close to D.C., it's just a place you got to be. Like, if you, like, for real, you're a for real organizer. And that's why 2-3 years ago, when President Biden brought some of the African leaders to D.C., you know, I, you know, had an instrumental role. My organizations and networks that I was affiliated with, we sponsored something there, you know, in D.C. with, you know, several, you know, global African groups. See, when you have, like, I don't know how many African presidents that came during that time, but that energy, that network brings people. They may not be colonial puppets, right? Like some people would suggest that they are. Or if they are, sometimes they bring in staff members, they bring in a delegation, they bring in their ministers of culture, their ministers of tourism. And so these are the future Kwame Nkrumahs, the future Jomo Kenyattas, right? So Walter Rodney, right? So when you have an opportunity like that, and I was just, and I said this before, when 50, however many, because some didn't get on the list. I don't know how many came to DC, but I didn't see nobody. I didn't expect for Tariq to, deploy FBA there. But Umar is just like in Philadelphia, dude. You 2 hours away, up two and a half, maybe. I just went to Philly like last weekend. It was an hour 45 minutes. So, I mean, and then sometimes what you do, you organize a side event. People would have loved, I mean, to come see Umar like during that time. But he was who knows what he was doing. And this is why when you don't have like real thinkers around you, real global thinkers that can strategize, you just be all off in your own little world. You just be all off in your own little world. So I'm not going to dwell, but so here's the thing. They starting this FBA versus descendants of African freedmen in America. Like this little, I see a few people kind of doing different videos trying to create like a little battle. But ultimately, both need to change their trajectory, because all these just little documentaries, like, is it changing policy? What is it doing? Like, y'all not even in any position. Nobody, like, supporting any local candidates. Like, I mean, are you getting land? Are you organizing your people to get some land? Or are you just on YouTube? Are you going to DC? And then I do got some heat for Tariq. Tariq called several people agents. He called the NFAC. He called them agents. So I'm like, he called Malik Zulu Shabazz an agent. He called Irte Genie an agent. I'm like, I mean, who else? So I'm like, Malik, a lawyer from Howard in DC, has been defending people in the court of law, but he's an agent. See, y'all gotta watch these people, man. Y'all see, y'all don't know who doing substantive work, and it's just scary. It's just scary that somebody can put out some DVDs and y'all pay more attention to them than somebody just like kind of, but they can critique real soldiers, people who that got suited and booted to go down to Jasper, Texas, like that when Malik went with Dr. Khaled to Jasper, Texas, when that what's the one that got killed in Jasper, Texas? Can't remember his name, but he got lynched. He got dragged. Let me see. It was a brother, older black man. He got, and he knew these white boys. Texas, Jasper, Texas murder. James Byrd, I remember, and Dr. Cotty, who's 49 years old. There's a movie out about that, and Dr. Khaled went down there. Have you ever seen Tariq like organize anything? All these killings happening all over. I mean, well, he did go to St. Louis some years ago. I recall he did go down there. So, I think he came to Baltimore, but he ain't go like Dr. Khaled. But then you wanna, Khaled's right hand man, his successor,
who somebody that was there that got a law degree, you want to try to, call them an agent. So that's why I'm like, and then later, the NFAC dude, you started a beef with him, and that's deep. Like somebody that's somebody that's really for real, getting suited and booted up, and he probably said something about these new brothers that's out there. He probably said something about the new brothers out in Philadelphia. I'm sure he probably did. So those are some things that I'm just like, are y'all serious? Are y'all real serious about like just giving him a pass on all this? He don't get no passes. Like for all that calling people agents. Like that's some scary stuff, man. So now, Tariq did something on Umar rather recently. That's why I'm, having to do this to sort of intellectually just expose like both really on some levels, because people don't know any better, and they just getting online and they not gonna do nothing, and y'all gonna think that this is normal because there's no community, there's no school, there won't be no school. I mean, no big school. Like, that is so... I mean, there's been a lot of people, like some contractors. I mean, and there's a school in Baltimore. Watch my Baltimore Collegiate School versus Dr. Umar video. I didn't do a whole lot on it, but there's some people that have gone into detail all the way up there to like dissecting that building, like 2-3 hour videos of people who wanted to work, with Umar, and they got the blueprints and everything, and they dissected that. But some people are just like lazy. I remember this sister up in Cleveland. She was like, she did a poem, and she said something about when Dr. Umar's school opened. When Dr. Umar's school, this is a Pan-African type of event. And I'm like, she's sitting there with her child. Her child was she was pregnant. And she had another child like on a little carrier thing. And she said something about when Dr. Umar's school opened. This was how many years ago that was? Probably about 8 to 12 years. It was like during when the RNC was in Cleveland, the Republican National Convention. I was up there speaking. RNC Cleveland. (2016). Oh my God, that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, and now, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I just want y'all to know that's crazy. If y'all didn't hear anything else from me, that's crazy. I mean, what would fix somebody's mind to think that that's okay? I'm just curious, what would fix somebody's mind to think that it's okay to say you want to have a school and it's 15 years later? And people still out there, I believe in you, brother. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's insulting. It's insulting to real, well-rounded, conscious people who've seen schools come and go, or seen schools being built, schools that need real help in D.C. And and some of these elders, they're not too bright themselves. Some of these elders, no disrespect, but y'all co-sign Umar. Some of them in D.C., they co-sign them as well. And I'm just like, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But I've been able to see like how schools like actually work. I used to be affiliated in DC with Nation House, Sankofa Conference. Y'all know me. However anybody feel. But I've been able to have conversations, and one thing that I learned is that many of the educated bourgeoisies, they are sending their children to Catholic schools. The poor blacks, they are the ones, they are using black schools, for instance, as like a last resort. Like a fix my kid place. Not as a first resort. They're not putting no money, into, black school, independent African-centered schools. They are just like, oh, my child got kicked out of all these other schools. Please help him. And they drop him off like a duffel bag. No disrespect. I just know and heard things. I mean, they didn't explain it like that, but that's just how it is. People, these young mothers, that can't handle their children. And this is what real men should be doing. Unfortunately, many, people are having children they can't afford, and that adds to the stress. And it doesn't help if you don't have a well-rounded, mature woman, and you had a elder that's well-rounded, that understands racism, white supremacy, to actually come and sit down and ensure that people are moving in the right direction. These young couples. So that, we should be starting programs about that. Like these little young couples that's out here making babies. Like that's what you build. Like you don't need a big old building for some of that. Like you could, I know it sounds good to feel like you're going to save these black boys, but you got like a school like the Baltimore Collegiate School. And yes, I mentioned Nation House in D.C., and that Baltimore Collegiate School is having some challenges. But I'm just like, where's Umar money for that? But no, we want to sit around and just wait and wait and wait. And you have people giving more and more money, or new people giving money, each time we go in a Breakfast Club for a new audience, because we have no financial literacy, we have no investment ideas of our own. And people, got little money, and they don't invest in their own health, because Umar doesn't talk about health. He would rather you give all of the money that you could spend on your health to him, so that he can go out and get some cookies, or that he can go out and fly to Africa, or who knows, Japan or something, and be in some, he was in some kind of pool in Japan, like flexing. Your money, your Pan-Africanist dollars, your African dollars. That's where some of the money went. So yeah, but there are other people who have really, truly spoke about that. And let me just begin to close. And, this has been said over and over again. He keeps saying it about his family, his descendancy of Frederick Douglass. I was just with the descendants of Frederick Douglass. They don't even talk about it no more. There was a lot of initial things going on, but he's still talking about Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Now, one thing I do agree with Tariq about, in terms of where Frederick Douglass, where he stood at that particular time, there are definitely documented things about him saying, our fighters here. So I can see that. I just happen to take advantage of certain opportunities, in Africa, that were presented to me. But some people do overdose. Some, some, Pan-Africanists are, in fact, religious zealots for Africa, and they will basically scam you to get your money. They will scam your family. They don't care what they do. They will try to get you to mortgage your house over like a church, so that they can run Africa and do anything, any part of Africa. They don't give a damn. I try to explain to one Pan-Africanist, like, be tactful. You can't do everything all over Africa. Just flying any old weird ass country. Any old country. Just let me think. What's name an off-brand African country? Madagascar. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. The Central African Republic. Hold on. Let me go just a second. Alright, I got this African coloring book, Sister Dr. Gina Page. Oh, oops, sorry, I'm drinking this kind of spring water. I'm sorry, that's what made me belch. I apologize. I support African ancestry. I'm waiting on mine. I did do my DNA thing, so I'm like 27% Nigerian or whatever. So, that don't mean I'm like a worshiper, because you gotta be tactful. You gotta make your money here, like most of them, do and are, kind of coming here. So, they're coming here for a reason. But I just wanted to, what I say? Oh, is this situation? What the hell? What country is this? I have no idea. Wait a minute. So these are some of the different countries. Damn. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. So no, this is an African coloring book. Let me see what's the name of these countries. They need to give me the names. Oh, here they go. Okay. The names are in the back. Like Lesotho, that's an off-brand one. South Sudan, North Sudan. Seychelles. What is this one? Okay. Niger. Oh, it might be some more. Let me see. I'm just thinking of, okay. I'm not saying Benin is off-brand, but, Central African Republic, Chad. Equatorial Guinea. See, that's what I mean by some of these little off-brand countries that Gabon. I ain't gonna say Angola. I appreciate the revolutionary Angolians. President Fidel Castro sent some people to Angola. But yeah, so I'm just saying, look, if you're trying to get black people from here to go to Africa, make it make sense. Everybody shouldn't be just like, and I know people doing the DNA things, and I'm waiting on my results right now. I did the other one, the Ancestry.com. check off my box. Shout out to Dr. Gina Page, beautiful, brilliant sister. So, I support her work. Of course, I think we all should do the AfricanAncestry.com, right? However you feel, if you FBA, super FBA, I mean, hey, do it, and see what it says. Maybe it say you from Alabama, Piscataway tribe or something. Maybe it would say that the the Sioux, the Cherokee. Maybe some of y'all maybe some of y'all are from there. Maybe some of y'all from those tribes. So mine didn't. Well, I'm waiting on mine, but it said Nigeria 27%, Togo something. I think it did say Togo. I'll look mine up, but something like that. I'm doing both. I'm doing both ancestry. Well, I did ancestry and doing the African ancestry. That should be ready sometime this month, actually. So yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. You have some Africans that black people from America here that are doing the most, doing too much, and unfortunately, they are spending a lot of money, and they just ruining relationships with other black people here. Kind of borderline scamming. And then you have, some rites of passage Negroes, that they don't do nothing else like me. See, I, do real work, like not just here, but abroad. But certainly, the strategy has to be to get in position, like wherever you are, right? And if you are here and you making some money, because again, I don't see some of these Pan-Africanists. I mean, there's some. Like, I just watched a video where a black woman, she built like 400 houses in Ghana. So you can look that up, but who gonna be able to do that? Like, for real, you gotta have like certain types of education skills, career skills, wealth building, and asset skills. So I would say to those that are, considering doing something, be sure you got like a pension, right? You have some assets, you have some skills, you have, things you can do on your computer, you're a consultant, because ain't nobody just being a struggle, little, urban hustler, and you think you just gonna go over there and blow up, have some money, in your pocket, like saved, and invest, have some good health, because I just saw somebody came back from the Gambia. There's a couple that's been there, a raw couple, raw food. I'm sorry, I don't know if they raw, but yes, vegetarian couple that had to come back because of the healthcare related issues. So I think they doing. So I think they're doing like half a year here, half a year there. But they came back. I don't know if it was money or just the healthcare. They expressed that it was related to health related issues. So again, do your due diligence. Kenya does have, some of the better healthcare environments, and so I know some people that want to, just take people anywhere, whatever, that will make them a couple dollars, but it still got to make some sense, right? So if I ain't say anything else, to you, because I know, and it's it's only a few people that actually have the skills, the knowledge to be able to transition in those spaces. But ultimately, I guess I could, but I don't want to destroy. I'm making things happen here, and real power. Amos Wilson's type of analysis. And so, again, you can't make no power moves showing up like how, some of the FBAs and some of Umar followers maybe. I don't know if he has like followers like that, but they don't show up nowhere either. So that's the question: where do you show up? What do you show up to learn about? And if you're not talking about land, and cultivating the land, getting some hands on some land, as well as strategic investments. So I'm balancing this thing out. I'm like, look, I need to be around some black, like, conscious professionals, people who know what to do, with money. Once you got like accumulated $100,000, $50,000, $200,000, like, what do you do with that? Where you can make money off of that, right? So, maybe an annuity, some kind of trust, but that's, what is missing from these movements. And so I don't know what kind of skills Umar, and that's another thing. You just open a damn vocational trade skills school, man. That's, because you can get some books from everyone's place and books in Baltimore and just teach the young people. Like, I mean, granted, the reading, writing, arithmetic, that's something that any little average teacher, like, should be able to do. Like reading and math and science, the STEMs. I mean, obviously you want, some teachers to be able to teach those things, of course. But some things, everybody not going to be able to fit into the college spaces, right? Everybody not going to fit to invest like that. And so, mature thinking should encourage you to make some kind of transition. Just look, be a vocational, technical university. Get on your Booker T. Washington. I mean, no disrespect. How a sister wrote a book, Booker T. Washington, the Pan-Africanist. I'm just saying that if I had I ain't gonna say a building, like, hell, get them students to fix up the building. Call it a vocational school. Like, that's the things that make the most sense. Like, people, most of these young people who are going to come to your school, they aren't going to be like college, like, material, right? And I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, but you got to focus on what these young people can do. And I know, here's the thing, this is what I've seen with construction people. I know it's getting competitive out there with some Hispanic, Latino speakers, but that's what I believe, would be a viable, and add, like, yes, you can add like some STEM training to that, for some, maybe coding, for those. I mean, if you want to, I mean, that could be like an ideal thing. I know some folks that are doing some coding, in the Baltimore. The brother, he transitioned, that was from Baltimore, but, just do it like that. Like, you don't have to try to pretend you're going to do everything. We're going to do farming and NASA training. We're going to make some astronauts. He was naming off all these pie in the sky. See, Pan-Africanists are some delusional people. Like, some of these Pan-Africanists, y'all, they will say some of the wildest things out of their mouth. I mean, you might be able to do some more, like, actually in Africa, though, because your money goes further. And that probably would have been, like, maybe a better idea anyway, to move and do a school. Because, let me tell you, when I was in Kenya, some of these young people, I'm telling you, like, they was, like, paying, like, absolute attention. And I've been in some schools in the U.S., But I was like, I took a picture. I took pictures. I was like, look at how these young people are just like focused. They like sitting up, like listening, like to every single word. They were just, I mean, maybe it's just curiosity from, and I want to be open that maybe they don't, maybe they just doing that because we're here. But the young people in Kenya, you can literally hear a pin drop. And sometimes when I'm in schools here, like, yeah, children fidgeting, they can't be still like for a second. But I was just like, I didn't see like these young people were just like totally like stiff, like focused, not moving. Nobody, not a single one of them were playing or not paying attention. I was like, wow. So that's just my experience. There could have been variables because we were there for one, conference, but and maybe they were just like, this is we paying attention because we're so curious. This doesn't happen, So I'm kind of up in the air about that. I have to think about experiences before I give like a just a broad opinion, right? So that's been my experience, and so I'm just like, wow, like that movie. What is that movie? Ah, man. Keedy Awada used to talk about this movie. That's okay. It's like it's some British brothers. They do this film and they talking about taking out the, doing something with the IMF and everything. Oh man, how did I forget this film? But it's bad. It's bad. I appreciate them doing that. But so have I said anything? Said everything. Yeah. So ultimately, y'all, we gotta do some right things. We can't just be an online type of delusional organizations, and unfortunately, both of these movements are delusional, right? Non-practical, and unfortunately, many of these people that are following them, they don't show up for nothing. So you become worthless, actually. Staying like locked in to this as a identity, because if you're following Umar, for instance, you don't move in certain spaces, right? And unfortunately, Umar is not learning, so he's not growing in wisdom. He don't like listen to people. He doesn't follow people. He's not like out here trying to humble himself. He feels like he's the absolute top king, the absolute thinker. And I sold him a book. He bought Dr. Marimba's book from me, like in Norfolk, Virginia. I don't make stuff up. So he never read this book. Scholar, Urugu book. Obviously he hasn't read it. See, what you have is success scholars like me, the Safo, Dr. Hakeem Korami, and you have someone that was trained in European education, right? So somewhere along the line, he missed the consciousness movement. He's almost like the same age as me. See, when I was reading Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and Naeem Akbar and Amos Wilson, Jawanza Kunjufo, at our same age, or around the same ages, he was being programmed. He missed certain stages of conscious development. He missed parts of the liberation movement, and so coming to being a psychologist, and I don't know where he got the Garvey ideas from, which may have come later. Maybe he got like some parts and pieces, but he came out and leveraged the UNIA and leveraged Frederick Douglass' name to position himself in certain spaces, and that's tactful. Who can't ride Frederick Douglass? You can ride Frederick Douglass, and you can ride Garvey name. Like, people will, a couple people will listen to you. You got to add your little flavor to it, right? But that's what some people did to Elijah Muhammad. That's what, I ain't gonna say Malcolm, but a lot of, people kind of cling to a successful brand, and then the customers, the audience that know this previous brand, it's called benchmarking business. I was business major, so it's called benchmarking business. So you cling to a successful brand and image, and people will kind of see you as that image. So he stole the legacy of Frederick Douglass, right, to position himself on top. It's smart, it's genius, it's unethical, but it worked. While everybody else, kind of try to do theirs on their own. So that's how you built a global name for yourself. You just hijacked Frederick Douglass. I'm a descendant of Frederick Douglass, right? And so, I don't know. It worked. It got your name in many places, and people paid attention, and everybody knows Frederick Douglass, right? So, it worked well for you, It certainly has. It helps to have some knowledge, and he does have some knowledge about different things. But the application, the showing up and creating partners and to build with people, that's the question. And even Malik, who still believes, my brother, good brother Malik Shabazz, he still believes in Umar. He said, well, brother Umar, and he was on Carl Nelson's show, and he said, if Umar can, do such and such, he has some good ideas. I'm like, man, Malik is he hangs on to these old Negroes, and the old nationalists, he believes in them. And here's the thing. And like I said, I was on a Zoom recently, weekend, they were talking about Elijah Muhammad. There was a reason that at that time, Elijah Muhammad was, talking about separation. Black people were segregated legally, like it was legal, like you cannot come beyond this line, like different spaces that you couldn't operate in. That's extreme and vicious, right? And I said this on Carl Nelson's show. I believe that the remnants of that, the psychological effects on that, are still, going on. I believe that the psychological effects, for instance, of dark skin versus light skin versus brown, and that's still going on in some of these unconscious Negroes' minds. And so this is why I have to realize, being dark-skinned complexion, I realize that some people are still thinking with a mindset of a slave, right? So I realize that. I do understand. And so I do have to have some grace when, you have unconscious Negroes, for instance, in Baltimore. And, you know, there are different levels of their, you know, self-hatred, the different levels of self-hatred, the psychology of failure, and, you know, where you used to thinking the worst of your own people, right? So I have to understand that. And it comes from, you know, many different spaces, even the so-called Pan-Africanists, right? Many of the so-called Pan-Africanists, you know, even in Baltimore, the psychology of failure, right? And on the other end of that, you have people who have achieved a certain level of economic prowess, and they are striving to, you know, look down, right? And they get their rocks off from, you know, buying white people's things, like, and going to, you know, all kind. I mean, one time this sister, she was trying. You should go here, this restaurant for your birthday. I'm like, man, and she really excited. She really think that that's like making me like feel like, oh, I've arrived, because I can try to find some fancy white restaurant to go to. I'm like, I mean, and this, even today, I tried to go get my, you know, some food, and one black restaurant was closed. I went out of my way to try to find a black restaurant. So, you know, I mean, and that's where, you know, knowing like there's half free, semi free, you know, how, you know, some folks are just like, we live in a hybridized society, right? We live in a society that, you know, rewards mental slaves. And like I even, you know, now, and although I mention things like the CBC and spaces like that, like I have enough talent and skills that I'm not like relying on that. Like I believe in understanding the need to do for self, but the question is, you know, what's important is how. What are you doing with your hands, with your strength, with your knowledge, with your vision to build something, right? And this is where, you know, I mean, Tariq, what he do? He just got some money from people and just built a club, and they just go in there and tell jokes. He does a comedy night every wild ass comedy shows with all kind of crazy ass comedians that be in there telling jokes. So I'm like, is this what y'all? This what the movement supposed? This is direction. You made all that money to get some raunchy comedians and some women half dressed coming to a so-called museum. I saw some of them women up in there, Vivica Fox looking like she just got off a stripper pole. No disrespect to Vivica Fox, but many of these folks, they're not gonna do nothing for you. You got to find a way to empower yourself, is what I'm saying. So start reading the right books. If you don't know the right books, holler at me. I'm not going to put out any individual books. You just got to start tuning in. You got to start tuning in to the Success Scholar. Sometimes I drop different books, and I don't care what the so-called Baltimore conscious people say. I read 100 books a year for 11 years. And so, ultimately, I have a lot of depth And sometimes it's like when I hear something that I know I need to take action on, I'm just like, I got it. Something that makes sense. And I know what doesn't make sense. Because you're going to have people that's going to come up to you with some bull. Like there's a guy that's telling me about investing in some damn, what is it? Like, invest in a missile company, invest in a tank company, invest in some auto, some anti, just trying to capitalize off the damn war. I'm like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, I mean, damn, like for real, like is that what we doing now? Are we just trying to get like a little bit of crumbs off of the? I read the book Shock Doctrine. Naomi Klein, Shock Doctrine. Check that book out. Shock Doctrine. Naomi Klein. The Rise of Disaster Capitalism. Disaster contends that the political actors use the chaos, these shocks, to push through improper policies like privatization and deregulation, bypassing public opposition, and cites examples from Chile to Iraq. So yes, get your hands on Shock Doctrine, and it may possibly be audio as well. So definitely check it out. Shock Doctrine. Yeah, so alright y'all. It's about, I gotta get me some sleep. Get me some sleep, y'all, so that I can get up at 8:30 and I gotta be somewhere at 8:30. So let me set my alarm for 7 o'clock so I can be out of here at 7:45. Alright, peace and blessings. Thank you all for tuning in, listening. Do share, like, subscribe. Stay tuned in for the Honorable Asafo, Dr. Hakeem Kwame. Peace and blessings. Oops. Done it. This is crazy. I got this thing on my phone I need to fix. Oh shoot, I gotta take my phone. I gotta take my laptop somewhere. Let me turn this thing off.